Okay, here we go. We got to talk about it. COPPA. Don't want to, but we will. Hi, this is Tom's Tech Show, and today it's a technical subject kind of that actually crosses technology, YouTube, and the government, and how disconnected our government is from technology. I mean, all of these. I would like to see in elections more people who are more technologically aware that they actually get into government, because then they can actually make some real rules about what's going on, on the internet, and make things that actually make rules that actually make sense. Because typically what the government does kind of takes the old, telephone rules from AT&T from back in the 70s and 60s, and they try and apply those to the internet rules today, because it kind of travels over the same telephone lines, and that's it kind of falls down, breaks apart, just doesn't quite apply. So now we have COPPA, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, which is good. I'm all for protecting kids from what, most of all, I'm for parents being responsible for what their children are doing, right? If you're going to be somewhere and you just throw your kid an iPad and let them start tapping around, well, to me, you're giving them consent right there. Instead of you being responsible and actually taking a role and watching and seeing what your kids are doing, you're trying to use this as a babysitting tool, then you as a parent are the fail right away. We see this a lot. We go to Disneyland and we see this. People bring their kids, put them in the little stroller. The kid is at Disney. Let me make this clear. The kid is at Disneyland, and the parent has brought an iPad to throw in front of their kid's face so they don't have to deal with their kid. Why are you at Disneyland? Can I get the government involved in that? Getting those people out of Disneyland. That, to me, would be something to more put your energy into. But anyway, now we're back to YouTube, and we're back to what's going on. I've watched many videos about the different things about the legalities and everything else. One video saying that the only one that can actually maintain the child's information at all is YouTube, that the creator, I have no access. They don't share that information about the kids' information with me. I mean, I don't get that about what they're tracking and what they're watching and what advertisements they need to be sent. I don't get that information. I get information about who has subscribed if their account is public and I can see it. Other, information about what video they watched before, what video they watched next, all those different things. We don't get that. So how are we? So it's kind of confusing how we can be an operator and be liable for that, right, when we're making our video. So it's kind of like YouTube is taking, like, we don't want to deal with this. We're just going to pass it on to the creators because we're just a platform, blah, 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 like they always try and play, except when it doesn't meet their narrative, right? If it's not going to meet their narrative, then all of our videos get dropped to the bottom and all that. So we've seen that before. So with that, now we've got, that side of it where maybe it's YouTube's problem, but the FTC can, to try and test this law. Because see what happens so they make a law, they make a ruling, and they put out these guidelines and laws. And in order for them to stay a law, right, it has to be then somebody has to sue somebody, and then it goes to court. And then whoever gets to, the judgment, who gets the judgment against them, they don't like that, and then they go, okay, let's appeal this to a higher court. Then that goes to, a district court, and then, the federal district courts and stuff. And then if it gets past that, you can then try and appeal that, and then can then be allowed to be put on the list of cases that the Supreme Court will actually come and may select. They may not select your case, and the Supreme Court can then either judge on it or say, no, the district court, ruling stands. So it has to go through that whole process until we can get to a point where the law stands, or that it must be shot down and then reworked and redone. So the first step is to put this in place, and what may have to happen is one of the larger YouTube channels may have to get sued by the FTC, may have to bring charges against them, or at least the fines, and then you can take it to court and say, I don't think I deserve these fines, because you can sue anybody for anything and take people to court for anything. So somehow it's going to get to court, the FTC and one of the larger YouTube channels, because going against a small YouTube channel would just be, like, number one, my channel's not big enough to make any money. But some of the other really smaller channels, all you would be doing is destroying someone's, potential livelihood, right? So the FTC is going to come after a big channel. I don't know if it's going to be, PewDiePie or one of the other, big channels, and say, PewDiePie actually might be good because he does. I don't really want PewDiePie to be sued. Let me make that clear. I don't want anyone to be sued for any of this stuff. But a content creator, especially in the gaming world, because that appeals to both adults and kids, then they're going to have to go to court. They're going to have to go move this all the way through the system to the Supreme Court till we actually find out what happens and what part of this law sticks. I don't know that the FTC is going to come with all of our petitions and just change it, because they want to see how this plays out as well. So, and YouTube's not going to support anybody. They already paid their $170 million, out of there. They reached in their back pocket and handed it to them. They already did that. So, the big thing, right, is like some of these channels, like, let's switch here, like all these people that do videos about, the trash of Star Wars toys that are out there. Well, that's toys. Is your algorithm going to flag this for kids? And if I'm telling it, no, this is for adults, and you say, no, you're categorizing this wrong, we are going to say, your algorithm says it's for kids, and they go and try and give you notices, and then you have to fight their system to say, this is for kids, you need to change it. And then you say no, and they go, we're changing it anyway, because this is Google, and they can do that. YouTube, they can do that. I'm sure they can flip the switch on their own. I'm sure there's nothing stopping them. So how do we know what is for kids and what isn't for kids? So I looked in here, and other people are commenting on this. Determine whether a website or service is directed towards children. Use of an animated character. Okay, I don't have any animated characters. Child-oriented activities or incentives. Okay. Music or other audio content. What? Many sites have like background music. They have intro music. That's very vague, right? Age of models. Okay, if I'm out in public and I film something and there happened to be a kid in the background, is that, there's all of these sites that are out here that also do stuff where they're in the park at Disneyland, and a lot of them are really geared more towards, adult than children. What's that going to do to them? Because there may be children in the background if you're doing something like that. Presence of children or celebrities who appeal to children. Language or other characteristics of a website or online service, as well as advertising pros. So if you're promoting child products, that one kind of makes sense. Commission will also consider competent and reliable empirical evidence regarding audience composition. Competent and reliable empirical evidence. So this is a judgment call. Somebody who just thinks, I think all these kids, does a half-assed look at your site. Oh, there's an action figure in there. This site's obviously for kids, and boom, starts flagging you. And then you have to go, is there going to be, and that's the other thing, is there going to be an appeal process? If somebody says your video is for, kids, and you tell it it's not for kids, is there an appeal process? What's, that's going to go through, or you just automatically flag your videos taken away, and you do that 3 times, and boom, your channel's shut down. I think Google really needs to get out in front of this and start answering some questions, saying this is the process, and say what is going to happen if you have a video that you categorize incorrectly. Now, this categorization, if it's done by Google's system or the automatic, and that's the whole thing constantly about Google's process. We have no view into the algorithm. We have no view into the search things. If you go over to Steven Crowder and watch some of his videos about how the search works, you go into his site go and search for his videos in the United States. None of his videos come up. You go outside of the United States, his videos are first. Same with Tulsi Gabbard, right? For a long time, her videos were not coming up in the U.S. You're outside of the U.S., her videos are first when you search just for her name. So this works both ways, right? It doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. It doesn't matter which side of anything you're on. If this system goes in place without more information, everybody's going to be at a detriment. Everybody could potentially be either have their videos flagged or their channel taken down, and potentially, it's not very likely that any small channels or anything are going to get fined, but some of the bigger channels could potentially get fined the $42,000 per video. So that means you have to be able to go get attorneys and try and fight that. It's really unclear what's going to happen. I mean, I've thought, like, here, I put this panel here, this frame here, like usually my frame is this. Well, do I need to do this? See my frame down here on the bottom, down here on the very bottom part, it says COPPA 13 plus only. Do we need to start adding that to our videos? Do we need to put in big bold letters somewhere? I mean, I've heard that some sites are just going to cuss the first 20 seconds of the video so that it's obvious by any algorithm that this is not for kids. We shouldn't have to go through that. Shouldn't have to be that big of a jump to be able to do this. Plus, there is the one category that they're not even looking at, which from videos that I've watched says is in the FTC rules, which is the common appeal. Like, there are videos out there that can appeal to both adults and to children. So how do we categorize those? And there are some that are just general videos outside of having a ruling for, only children can watch this or only adults can watch this. There's no middle ground. There's no gray area or anything in YouTube's little switch. Either it is or it isn't. There's no place in there to say, well, this is for everybody. So you either have to go with kid-oriented, which means you lose all of your monetization, or you go adult-oriented and possibly get flagged as being categorizing wrong and then having to go through an appeal process. So a lot of questions in this, and I don't think it's going to be, everything's going to be shut down on January 1st, but I think there's going to be still a lot of questions, and I don't know why YouTube hasn't come out ahead of this and hasn't put anything out there. So watch all the videos. There are some things. I'm going to put some links in here. There is a site here. The FTC has a site that you can go and tweet at them and make them aware. Just comment to them. Always be respectful. Always be kind. There's also regulations.gov where you can go and put in a comment and say, I think this is bad. We need to review this. We need to find out what's going on. We need more information. And there's also a change.org petition by Jeremy Johnston here, who has put this up. There's 700,000 people have signed. They're on their way to 1 million. So that also we can sign. We can just start making our voice heard, right? I think everybody needs to make their voice heard. If you have a channel, even a small one like mine, I think the more content that we get out there about this, that we have concerns, that we want to be able to, make our voice heard and en masse, reach everybody that you can on your channel, and then tell everybody that who has a channel to continue to make videos about this. All right. So, all right. Well, that's kind of my thoughts on COPPA. I'm hoping that it's going to be good. Like I said, I set my channel to adult, but some of the other channels that are like in between, who, gaming channels and things like that, I really feel for them that they may be heading into a rough time January 1st. And it's everybody needs to kind of come together as a YouTube community, viewers and content creators, to be able to try and get some notifications to the FTC and to YouTube, just saying, you need to clarify this. This needs to be, changed. What are the processes? What are we going to do? Is there an appeal process? All those kinds of things. So, all right. Well, that's it for now. I hate talking about legal stuff and everything else, because I'd rather just make fun videos about technology and photography and current pop culture movie stuff. But this is important. So, all right. Thanks for watching. Take care.